Welcome everybody to Grapple FK. We are covering Said Nurmagomedov v Mark Striegl. It's the first fight on the prelims of the Ortega v Korean Zombie headliner. So let's get straight into this. Said's got a record of 13-2. He's had 3 fights in the UFC. He's 2-1 in the UFC. Mark has a record of 18-2 and 1 no contest. He's mainly fought in 1 championship and other Far East Asian circuits, I think. He's definitely fought in 1. He's had a few fights in 1. Russia, Japan. I'm not sure why that says Japan. Isn't he Filipino? Have I got that?
I think he was born in Japan, but grew up in the Philippines. And I think he's half German or something. He's not full East Asian.
Really?
Well, just
Yeah,
with the name
name
Striegl, yeah.
Yeah, his name would suggest so. Yeah.
And he looks it looks a bit too Western for to be fully Filipino or Japanese.
Fair enough. Yeah, we've got no stats here because he's making his UFC debut. He wins. I think he's won 14 out of his 18 fights by submission. So yeah, 78%. Whereas Said's got some knockouts, some subs, mainly wins by decision. Again, we don't have any stats for Mark, but from what I've seen, from the footage I've seen of Mark, he doesn't really have much output in terms of striking. I think Said's got the output advantage here. You can see that by the figures. Okay, he hasn't had many fights in the UFC, and the people he's faced the fighters he's faced haven't been the best, but he lands way more than he absorbs, and his defense is pretty good. His grappling, that is shocking for takedown accuracy for someone from Dagestan. That's a shocking figure.
He's not much of a grappler, is he?
Or is he? Defense 100%. I'm not sure what his background is. I mean, he must have done some sambo and wrestling if he's Team Dagestan.
Mm-hmm.
So he's Team Dag Fighters. So that's the same team as basically some of Khabib's crew and so on. So he must have done sambo or something. Yeah.
But he's definitely more of a. It looks like he's trained in Tae Kwon Do.
Yeah, with his, he's got very flamboyant kicks. He does a lot of spinning shit. Yeah,
he's got that kind of karate / taekwondo stance. Very bouncy on his feet, moves in, moves out, keeps the distance. Yeah, it's definitely not Muay Thai kicks.
No, they're not Muay Thai kicks. You're right. Yep. So he's orthodox, Nurmagomedov, and Striegl's southpaw. Let's see some other stats. Yeah, we've got that shocking takedown accuracy here. Striking defense is pretty good, 61%. Takedown defense is decent as well for Said. But yeah, that is a shocking figure. I still can't believe that's so low. But what are your initial thoughts on this, Andrew?
Said Nurmagomedov is a weird one. His fighting style, as I said, there's a taekwondo, karate kind of background there, probably taekwondo. He likes to stay on the outside. He throws decent volume, most of which comes from kicks.
Yeah.
I'll say most of those kicks, they score points. They don't seem to hurt. They don't seem to be landing very hard. His boxing is rudimentary. He's very much an outside fighter. He'll pop in with a jab, pop back out, or pop in with a kick, a spinning back kick or something, then pop back out of his opponent's range. When he's up and close, he has problems. His boxing is very rudimentary. He's not setting anything up. If he throws a jab, it's not to set up something else, with his hands. It's just to land a point with a jab and then get out of there. He very rarely throws combinations. I'm not seeing much head movement. There's no conventional boxing footwork, but that's because he's doing the whole Taekwondo thing at range. And it's difficult to call this guy. He's got like a point style, right?
Yeah.
It's difficult to call him, in my mind, it's difficult to call him a fighter because he's not really hurting people. But that said, at the same time, when those spinning back kicks land, like they did to, was it Ricardo Ramos? They're very hard, and that spinning
Yeah.
back kick, set up a flurry of strikes, which put Ricardo Ramos away. So it does work, and you can win decisions with that style. But there's a problem with that kind of style. If you're constantly doing the spinning back kicks and you're doing the spinning back fists, which he does a lot,
Mm.
you're giving your opponent, you're exposing your back, and there's at some point your opponent is going to read what you're doing. He's going to see those coming, and he's going to close the distance and grab you and take it to the ground, which is exactly what happened in his last fight against, who was it? Rony
Barcelos.
Barcelos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Barcelos timed those spinning back fists. He timed those spinning back kicks. He closed the distance. And yeah, he kind of shut down that element of his game, and he lost the fight. I mean, have you got any comments about his ground game? Is that a fair assessment?
I haven't really seen him on the ground
Oh, sorry, I meant
that much.
his stand-up game. Sorry.
Oh, his stand-up game. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Yeah. He doesn't really punch much, as in he doesn't throw combos. I agree with the whole kind of keeping out of range thing and darting in. And that's reflected by most of his fights being won via decision. He hasn't really knocked many people out. Okay, he finished Ricardo Ramos, but that was set up with a flamboyant kick. If we go down his fights, he's had one doctor stoppage, and he KO'd someone in round 1 who's a complete tin can.
Yeah.
0-1. So he's not someone who has natural KO power in his hands. He doesn't throw combos. However, he does throw output, mainly via kicks, as you said. In terms of his wrestling, his defense looks pretty good. His offense looks pretty bad. He does have some judo throws, or sambo, whatever you want to call it. He does have some throws. He can throw people around. He does have some submission wins, but again, not in great circuits.
Yeah.
I think.
Did you see that fight?
Sorry, go and carry on.
Did you see his debut fight against Justin Scoggins?
No, I remember. I actually, I think I did. I think I watched that live. I remember it being very, very close.
Yeah, so he ended up getting the victory against Justin Scoggins, and he kept trying for the takedowns again and again and again. Didn't get them until the 3rd round. Justin Scoggins dropped him, or kind of half dropped him. He kind of buckled his knees and then kind of got back up again. And yeah, so he really struggled to get the takedown, but when he got it, he looked quite dominant, I think. So in terms of his ground game, I don't think it's great.
Yeah,
but
which
again,
is worrying because Striegl's very good on the ground.
That's a question in itself. But with Said Nurmagomedov, for example, in the fight against Barcelos, he defended a couple of takedowns really nicely. There's one kind of sequence where he went for his own takedown against Barcelos. Then in the process, he somehow gave his back to him. Then Barcelos took his back and threatened with a rear naked choke. And in that sequence there, he looked very mediocre.
Yeah.
But the question is, how good do we think Mark Striegl's ground game is, and how do they compare?
Well, I mean, he submitted 14 people. Okay, he hasn't got the best CV in the world in terms of the competition he's faced. He has beaten Kai Kara France via submission. That was 6 years ago, though. But yeah, I mean, he submits a lot of people very early on. So I think the first round is particularly dangerous for Said because one thing I've noticed about Mark is he does slow down after round 2. He doesn't go to round 3 that much. You can see that on his resume here.
He's got a lot of muscle on that frame.
Yeah, he's huge. He's massive.
He might be on steroids.
He's on that Mexican meat, I think. Yeah, definitely. He's a big dude.
How tall is he?
5'8", according to this.
5'8". Oh, he's the much bigger man.
Yeah, I have no idea how he makes that weight. That's a very good point. Sorry, let me just plug my charger in.
Yeah, he's
University
a big
of San
guy.
Diego College. Another thing to note that's very interesting about him, I'm not sure you know this. He's a gold medalist Sambo champion, Mark
Really?
Striegl. Yeah, Southeast Asian gold medalist Sambo champion at 74 kilos.
Southeast Asian. Okay.
Yeah.
How much credit do we want to give that?
That's the thing. If you say Sambo champion to me, anywhere in the Caucasus, Central Asia, or Russia, or Eastern Europe, then I'm on my knees.
You're on your knees.
Yeah.
What are you doing when you're on your knees, Walid?
And I have bruised knees, trust me. No, but Southeast Asian Sambo champion, he beat someone from Singapore for the gold medal. But that was at 74 kilos. So he's naturally a big dude.
Yeah.
And he does look to have good ground game, but I think there's just a lot of unknowns about both fighters. I mean, Said is 2-1 in the UFC. His first fight that he won via split decision was very, very close. It could have gone to the other fighter. Sorry,
Which one was that?
His
Sorry,
second fight. Sorry, was that his second fight or his first fight?
What, against Scoggins?
Yeah, Scoggins. Yeah, that was incredibly close. This was okay. He did well to get him out of there, but that was a very flamboyant kick, and it probably won't land eight out of 10 times. And then Barcelos beat him, so we don't really know too much about him yet. And Mark Striegl, it's the same thing. He's submitted a lot of guys on regional circuits. The biggest name is obviously Kai France, but that was 6 years ago. And again, we don't really know much about him. And there are a lot of tin cans on his record: 3-3, 1-1, 4-5, 6-5.
So, who do we think is the best person he's faced? Because looking at his record, there's a guy he beat a guy called Sotir Kirchukov, who's 13-4. He beat him in one championship via unanimous decision. And at first sight, that looks like a good victory. A guy who's 13-4 in one championship, it looks to be a decent victory. But when you look at Sotir, when you look at this guy's record, he's had 4 fights in one, and he's lost them all.
Yeah.
And in that fight, Mark Striegl looked pretty lost on the feet. Of course, he was dominant on the ground, but he couldn't finish him. It went to decision. And I do feel as though if you're fighting these kind of guys who have four fights in one championship and lose them all, you should probably be finishing them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I just think there's a lot of unknowns about both fighters. It'll be interesting to see what the odds are, because I'd be interested to see what the odds are, because the one thing I'd say about Striegl is he's very deadly on the ground. His striking doesn't look great, and he's been very inactive. He's had one fight in 2019 and one fight in 2018.
That's a good point. Yeah. So it's been a year and a half since his last fight.
Yeah.
Just a word about his last fight, which was a no contest. It was a no contest because he kicked him in the balls.
Gave him
somehow
dick knee or a dick kick. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember now, but he hurt him.
Yeah, I think it was a knee to the balls or something.
Yeah.
And then his opponent took the opportunity to just win the fight by default. This guy, his name is Shunichi Shimizu. In the first round,
a lot of fights.
Yeah, that is a lot of fight. 32, 22, and 11. So he's had 11 draws. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so this guy Shimuzu. So Mark
Yeah,
Striegl had there was a grappling exchange in the first round. At the beginning, Striegl got the takedown. He got position on him, got into side mount, slash headlock, and started doing some ground and pound. It all looks fine. Then Shimuzu kind of gets up. There's a bit of a scramble, and then Mark Striegl just kind of flops into Shimuzu's triangle attempt. And that kind of raised a bit of a red flag for me. If you're a grappling expert, you shouldn't be in the triangle of someone who's 32, 22, and 11.
yeah.
Um, that was a bit of a red flag for me. So I think, as you said before, he's faced a lot of tin cans. I mean, guys with it was only 1, 2, 3 fights ago when he was fighting someone who was 0-0. Then before
Yeah,
that, 6-9.
serious tin cans.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking this guy. I think he's probably a reasonable grappler, maybe a half decent grappler.
I think he's a decent grappler.
But if that's your core strength, considering he's got no striking game, if that's your core strength,
Yeah, his striking isn't great in my opinion.
is his grappling good enough to beat someone like Said Nurmagomedov, who doesn't have the
Um,
best grappling game, but he certainly has one?
yeah, he's got good takedown defense. I mean, for Mark to beat him, he'll have to take him down because I think if it stays on the feet, I think Said will win the fight. He'll probably win a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
He's just a busier fighter. And I'm leaning more towards Said just because this guy's been very inactive. Looks like he has to cut a lot of weight to get to that weight anyway. Said's from a good camp. He's got experience in the UFC, and Said's he's had some tough fights in the Borat circuits as well, against some very experienced guys. So I'm leaning
Yeah.
slightly more towards Said, but I'd be interested to know what the odds are on this.
Okay, let's have a look. Who do you think is the favorite?
I think probably Said, just because of this guy's inactivity. He's not really known.
Okay. Da-da. So Said Nurmagomedov is
Yeah.
a minus 450 favorite.
Well, I think that's a bit too wide.
Yeah, those are not great odds. And our boy
I
Mark Striegl is plus 300, plus 300 underdog.
And what's the what are the odds for Striegl to submit him?
We don't have those odds yet.
We don't have those odds. Okay. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have put it that wide.
Yeah. So you said that Said Nurmagomedov will probably win by a decision, just
Yeah,
by
I'm
sort
leaning more
of
towards a Said Nurmagomedov decision. Yeah. Um,
just by kind of like just jabbing, dancing in and out,
yeah, just
big
jabbing. He's
kicks.
busier. Yeah, he's busier. More kicks, more jabs. Um,
Yeah.
he's had 2 fights in 2019. So yeah,
What is Said Nurmagomedov's takedown defense again?
takedown defense is pretty good. 66%.
Yeah, not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah. His
How many
striking
rounds do you
differential's
think?
pretty good.
How many rounds do you think Mark Striegl has in him, like effective rounds before he gasses?
I think two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think two. I think if it goes past two, Said's definitely won.
Yeah, just the danger zone is that first round.
The danger zone is the first round. Yeah, if Said makes a mistake up against the cage or something, Mark Striegl gets him to the ground, could potentially submit him very early. Um, but
Yeah.
I think Said has the game to kind of stay away from him. I would give this 60-40 to Said. Yeah,
I would say Saeed probably wins that more.
probably 65.
I'd go higher. I'd say probably 75-25.
So I mean, on that basis, then, well, I guess there's not much value putting him in the come anyway.
I think for the come,
think...
it's okay for like for the very safe come. I think it's okay. Yeah, I just don't think Mark Striegl is very good. I think he's going to come up against a much more difficult opponent in Said Nurmagomedov than he's used to.
Yeah, he's not very good, but then Said's not very good as well. But
That's
then
true.
again, he's not very good in the UFC, I guess.
The thing is, Said Nurmagomedov is okay.
Nurmagomedov. When Khabib was shouting at DC his full name.
How do you pronounce it?
Habib Abdulmanapovich Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
I'll just call him Said.
And someone commented saying that's my new Wi-Fi password.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't like Said Nurmagomedov. His fighting style is not really fighting. Just dart in and out like a Tae Kwon Do little bitch. Never really exchanging punches. To me, that's not fighting, but it wins fights.
Yeah, he's got very odd style for someone from Dagestan.
Yeah, it's
very odd. They're normally just throwing you all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, to me, fighting is smashing people in the face and picking them up and throwing them and ripping their limbs off. That's fighting to me. Exactly. Dancing around, doing a karate thing. Yeah. That's not cool, man. It's embarrassing.
You're gonna get found out. But he probably win this one, I think. But I mean, in this division, he'll get found out pretty soon if he carries on like that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's up against guys like Zabit, Calvin Cater, a whole row of killers.
Well, this is 135. So he's up against.
Oh, is this 135?
Yeah.
This can't be 135.
Yeah, it is. It's 135.
This can't be.
Yeah, 61 kilos.
How is Mark Striegl going to make 135?
That's what I'm saying. He's huge. That's why I brought the point up about him winning a Sambo medal at 74 kilos. He's massive. The guy is.
But the weight cut to featherweight would be ridiculously hard anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand how he makes the weight. I really don't.
Well, he may not even make it to the cage.
That picture's not doing him any justice, and even there, he looks pretty big.
Yeah, he looks a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
He may not even make it to the fight.
Well, if he makes the weight, he's going to be severely depleted, I think. He's been fighting at 135 for a while.
Has he?
And I think so. And I think he's fought at 145 as well. But yeah, he's a big dude.
He's actually had fights before at 135.
Yeah, his last fight was at 135. Says it here. He weighed in at 134.4.
Okay.
I have no fucking idea how he makes that weight. But then, as some of these UFC fighters just completely baffle me. I have no idea how Usman makes 77 kilos, for instance, but he does.
Yeah.
He looks 100 kilos to me. He's 6 foot as well.
He's a big guy, yeah.
Yeah. So they've just got no body fat, obviously. But yeah. It's a tough. Well, it's not really a tough one, but there's just a lot of unknowns about both fighters. But getting on to official predictions, I think I'll give this 65-35 to Said. I think he'll be closer than people think. I think a lot of people are just looking at his surname, thinking he's from Dagestan and he's completely going to blitz this guy. But
I think some people will be thinking that, yeah.
Yeah.
And just drawing conclusions that are not really there, assuming he's
exactly
a classic Dagestani wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The stats just don't support it. Takedown accuracy 7%. I mean, your takedown accuracy is at least double that, Andrew.
It is. I hit a double leg today against the
There you
purple
go.
leg.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm better than Said Nurmagomedov.
What is this guy playing at? But yeah, I think Said 65-35. Um, uh, yeah, not going to put this. May put it in the risky come. Probably won't put it in the safe one. Actually, would I put it in the safe one? I'll wait until the weigh-in just to see what Mark Striegl looks like.
Yeah, if he looks terrible, like a
Yeah,
Holocaust victim,
yeah,
you know, it's like put a grand down on Said.
yeah.
But for the safe come, we kind of need other bets to fill that out, and I don't quite know what else goes in that one.
Yeah, we'll have to have another proper look at the card, and then we'll do other breakdowns for the fans, for the loyal fans out there. But yeah, I think Said. And who have you got?
Yeah, Said. I think Said wins is like 80% of the time.
Oh, you've gone up to 80 now.
Yeah, I'm up to 80. I don't mess about. So yeah, Said unanimous decision.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks. We'll be coming out with more fight picks soon. We've both got Said. Probably going to put him in. I'm probably going to put him in one of the come-comes. Andrew's putting him in the safe come-come. However, also have a look at some Mark Striegl speculative bets, because the odds on him submitting Said are not completely out of this world. And if those odds are pretty good,
I don't see that happening, man. I mean,
no.
he couldn't submit guys who lost 4 out of 4 fights and won.
Yeah, he's a big dude though, and he has submitted a lot of people, including Kaikara France. Yeah, but well, there you go. We'll be back soon. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button, and if you have noticed anything that we haven't, leave a comment. It's very unlikely because we both are geniuses, but do it anyway, and we'll get back to you. And stay safe. We will be coming out with more fight picks soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye.